What's up, my fellow headbangers? I'm Courtney, aka the Versatile Virgo, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I run a metal lifestyle blog, theversatilevirgo.com, which focuses on the best things in life: music, food, and fashion. So if that's something that interests you, make sure to check it out. I've linked it in the description below. The holidays are just around the corner, and I'm a firm believer that music is one of the best gifts you can give someone. But in this day and age where services like Spotify and Apple Music have taken over, you might be asking yourself, why buy music when you can stream it? First and foremost, I'm not here to shame you if you're someone that only streams music, but I think there can be a happy medium between streaming and actually buying physical copies of music. However, with so much music at the tip of our fingers for just a small monthly fee, I think sometimes the benefits of actually owning copies of your favorite albums, EPs, etc. can sometimes get lost. I've said this before, I will say it again, and I will continue to say it until I'm blue in the face, but I don't ever want to live in a world where the artists that have given me the soundtrack for my life pretty much couldn't afford to keep creating. And by the way, this video is not sponsored by anyone except for me, the Versatile Virgo, because I like to focus on things from the fan's perspective because that's what I am, a heavy music enthusiast to be more specific. So in today's video, I'll be giving you 5 reasons why you should buy music when you can stream it. The first and probably the most obvious reason on why you should buy music when you can stream it is because when you actually purchase music, more revenue actually goes to the artist that you're supporting. I'm not going to overload you on statistics in today's video, but just to give you kind of an idea on the difference in revenue when it comes to streaming and actually buying music, this article from Forbes specifically mentioned one of 2000's most successful albums, NSYNC's No Strings Attached. You know, the year 2000, before piracy and streaming fully took over. And as the article explains, NSYNC's No Strings Attached sold 9 million copies that year. It would take 600 million people each streaming it in its entirety to generate that same income as the physical product. That's around 8.5 billion streams. Just think of how successful that album was. That's like the late 90s, early 2000s pop music version of Nirvana's Nevermind. Trust me, I have firsthand knowledge. I was a 7-year-old girl at the time, and NSYNC was my favorite artist. Anyways, we're getting off topic. The point is that that statistic doesn't even break down what the artists and songwriters are actually getting paid after places like the label gets their cut, for example, and you can still see that there's a drastic difference. And again, I'm not going to bombard you, at least right now, with statistics on what artists and songwriters actually get paid, especially since that can vary so much, and that could probably be a separate video in and of itself. But I think this article from NPR says it best. Many artists are still paid little after services and labels take their respected cuts. Streaming payouts to artists vary wildly, however, depending on whether they are signed to a major or independent label, and whether or not they're songwriters of an individual tune as well as the performers. And within these situations, the terms of these contracts can make one artist's pay stub unrecognizable to another's. Just imagine what it's like for smaller artists, especially those within the metal genre, for example. Number 2, it's fun to collect actual physical copies of music, especially when we're talking things like vinyl, where there's so many different variants and things like that. I've even seen really rabid fan bases like the Acacia Strains, for example, where fans will actually collect all of the different variants of the same album, and I think that's really cool. There's also things that don't apply to just vinyl, like limited editions and box sets. I actually did a video on the Alice in Chains Facelift box set. I'll link that in the description below so you can check it out. But I am a huge Alice in Chains fan. They're my favorite band. So that was something that I couldn't pass up. And that's just one of those things that when you're actually purchasing physical copies of music, you get the perks of those things that you wouldn't get with streaming. Not to mention that, in my opinion, owning something like, let's say, an album that's a first pressing that was limited to 500 copies, for example, is one, really freaking cool, but also two, over time, those things can be very valuable. Imagine a first pressing of an album being like the first edition of a book. Let me give you a great example. I wasn't born until '93, and my favorite Slayer album, which is Seasons in the Abyss, was released 3 years prior in 1990. So obviously I wasn't around to actually purchase a first pressing of this album. The same goes for Rain and Blood. Good luck trying to find a copy of these that doesn't come from some random seller on Discogs. And by the way, I'm not knocking Discogs. I have never purchased from Discogs, but something like what Rain and Blood and Seasons in the Abyss are going for is just a little bit too much money for me to kind of experiment with seeing what I get from some random seller. I also don't buy things on eBay for that reason. Slayer even recently posted on their Instagram that they were releasing some Rain and Blood merch, and if you went and looked at the comments, they were all asking, when can we get a repress for the actual album Rain and Blood? I want it on vinyl. And it's because you really can't find it. Reason number 3 on why you should buy music when you can stream it is because sometimes when you actually buy music, particularly when you pre-order it sometimes does arrive a little bit early. This doesn't always happen, and especially in this last year and a half where everything's been so delayed, I wouldn't be banking on it. But even the new King Woman album that was just released, for example, actually arrived at my house a couple of days early, and I was like, ooh, I get this before anybody else. Well, anybody else that pre-ordered it, and it also arrived early for them. But you get the point. And again, I wouldn't necessarily bank on that happening, but it is kind of like an extra perk. Reason number 4 on why you should buy music when you can stream it is because if something happens to your favorite streaming platform, you at least still have a physical copy of at least your favorite releases that you can still listen to. And I actually think this is probably one of the biggest reasons, at least for me. We've been hearing this a lot, particularly around social media. What if one day this all comes to an end? If these platforms crash, what will happen to creators, etc. Imagine what if one day you go to listen to music, go to open up Spotify, and it doesn't open, it doesn't work, Spotify's not there. Even if it's just for a couple of hours and it's down for some reason, when I want to listen to music, I want to listen to it now. So to me, it's just kind of like not worth the risk of not having the music I want in my life, I guess. At the end of the day, these streaming platforms are companies, private companies at that, so you never know what might happen. And finally, the 5th reason on why you should buy music when you can stream it is because in most cases nowadays, a physical copy usually comes with a digital download as well. Now, I can't guarantee this will be in every case, so it is important that you obviously read the product description when you buy something, but that is not uncommon. So if you're someone that is adamant on having a digital copy as well, then you get the best of both worlds. So those are 5 reasons on why you should buy music when you can stream it. And if you're someone that collects music, then leave me a comment below and let me know what album is most essential in your collection. Also, if you like this video, then make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel because I post once a week and I have even more videos coming out soon. And if you're a heavy music fan, then make sure to check out my blog, theversatilevirgo.com. You can find everything over there from new music suggestions to musically inspired recipes. So again, I've linked my blog in the description below as well. Thanks for watching, everybody, and stay heavy.